So with the first pick in the second round of the draft, the Cincinnati Bengals selected T Higgins, and I find it to be a very interesting selection. I think he should do pretty well. Listen, they got Joe Burrow, and with the first overall pick, now they get someone who they're hoping could be a number one receiver for him with a pick in the second round. So I think it's very interesting, and I actually think this Bengals offense could be maybe better than people realize next year. We'll have to wait and see with how their young players are able to jump out of the gate. But anyways, let's just go into what T. Higgins does, what he'll do well, and maybe some things he has to work on. We'll start things off with this play. It's going to be a deep route. Deep routes are really where Higgins thrives the most. The majority of his highlights are with go routes. I mean, that's how he was really able to be successful with Clemson. Definitely, and this is how he was able to be so successful at these kind of things, where that's the player he's going to be going up against, and really it's going to be his route running that I like here. And watch how right when the ball is snapped, you notice how he takes just a step closer to the outside. Not much at all, but again, those little subtle things are everything, because now if you're a defender, you kind of naturally have it in your head that's where he's going. So that way, when he cuts closer to the middle of the field, he's able to easily get open. And of course, he just has the speed and he has the height that he's able to make the grab. So really good play from that aspect. But also, I like that beginning portion a lot more, because that's something that's going to carry over into the NFL more so, I think. I mean, the reality is, if you're 6'4", you're going to be successful in college pretty much. I mean, being 6'4", obviously I'm overreacting to some degree, but being 6'4", without a doubt, is going to help you a lot. Listen, his speed might not be as quick in terms of like a 40 time, but I feel like he's better in game than he is with his actual 40 time. It says here he ran a 4.54 40, which is not a disaster, but definitely nothing like, some of these receivers are running 4.3, so definitely a bit of a jump. I'm doing some research now as I'm recording. Looks like he's also been recorded at a 4.43, so again, the 40-yard dash time doesn't matter as much as how fast you are on tape, and he's very quick on tape, so I think that's important. And although some might argue he's a bit skinny at 6'4" and just 215 pounds, I think he can play fine. Some contact, getting jammed at the line can sometimes be a negative, but it's not always. And I'll show what I mean with this play, where he's running a deep route, and what's going to happen is that the defensive back going up against him is going to try to create contact at the line, not let him get cleanly off, which I actually do think is probably the best strategy against Higgins, because he is, so quick and he is so tall. But watch what happens. So he's going to create this contact, and he doesn't allow much separation at all because of that. Meanwhile, Lawrence is flushed out of the pocket, so he's going to have to make a throw basically while falling away. So, good situation all around for the defense, right? Well, not exactly. Even though there's no separation, the thing about Higgins is he's 6'4", and unlike some guys who are just tall and kind of get it, he goes up and gets it. And watch how he's going to make this play, where he just, taller, he's able to leap up and make the grab. And the reality is, it's really hard to defend against a 6'4" guy who can jump higher than you, because if the ball's higher, it's hard for you to get up there. So while he certainly is the kind of guy who can get separation, even in instances where he can't get separation, he still is able to, be able to make plays. Although I would say you would probably hope that he can find some way to avoid contact at the line for most of his routes. That'll help him a lot when he gets to the NFL level. But if he can avoid contact at the line, it's just so difficult to stop. This is another play where it's similar to the plays I've shown you before, but not exactly. Again, it's cover one, just one safety deep, so the sidelines will be open. It's man coverage again. And what's going to happen is that watch his first step. And after basically just a couple of steps, he's good, because he sort of fakes it, though it could be going either way. Once he moves past that 1 yard marker, he's golden, because again, you can't create contact past that first 1 yard marker. Otherwise, it's a penalty. So him being able to get just a little bit to the top like that, now he's golden, because again, he's taller, and he's faster than most guys. So if you're a defensive back, you kind of have the mindset of, I can't get beat deep, I can't give up this big play. And sometimes you still will, even with that mindset. But also now on this play, Lawrence can just throw it to his back shoulder, and the defensive back was so focused on trying to get back, he just has no chance in stopping that play. So in terms of those plays, he was very good in college. I suspect he'll still be good at those in the NFL. There's one thing that's both a positive and a negative, and that's his ability to break tackles. On this play, what's going to happen is that it's set up as though it's a screen pass where Higgins takes a couple of steps out. He's going to take the screen. But what they're also doing is they're going to have their other Clemson player who's on top of the screen kind of go out as though he's going to get a screen pass, which hopefully will get a Boston College defender to move in closer towards him to try to make a tackle. But then what's going to happen is that Clemson player is going to run out higher up, and he's going to block the other player. Higgins can run past both of them. That's kind of the way this is designed for. It's a little bit clever, a little bit creative. It doesn't work, though. Pretty quickly, the Boston College player sniffs this out, realizes the ball is going to Higgins, so not necessarily what was supposed to happen. But Higgins makes the catch, makes one quick move, and, he has the footwork, and again, he has the height where you kind of have to get him higher up than you do other guys, and he's able to run and pick up the first down because he broke a tackle. So that should just be a good thing, right? Why did I say that's a good thing and a bad thing? Well, the problem with something like that is that it doesn't always translate to the NFL level. It's a lot easier to break tackles against college defenders than against NFL defenders, and sometimes it does translate. I mean, we saw Deebo Samuel. He's still able to break tackles against NFL players, but it's really hard to judge too much, and it's kind of just a wild card. So that could end up being a great thing, although it could end up being that he isn't able to break those tackles like he was in college, just because it's more difficult to break a tackle against an NFL guy. But like I always say, it might work out, it might not, but it's better to have an attribute that might work out than an attribute that definitely won't. So it's better that he was able to break tackles in college than if he wasn't able to, obviously. I also really liked this play where it's going to be a cover 4 zone, but with an extra player back in coverage. And what's going to happen is that you're going to see that Higgins is running an out route, which is pretty much the only route that can work against this type of coverage. I mean, you pretty much have to go into one of those two bubbles on the sidelines. So this is actually working out all right for Higgins. I guess I shouldn't say it's the only route that can work, but it's the only route where it's really favored to work pre-snap. But also watch how Higgins runs this, where at the beginning portion of the route, he's full on going up to the top of the screen, going deep towards the top of the field, towards the end zone, and he's kind of running just straight. He is not giving away what he's doing. And in doing this, you see the Wofford defender, he has turned his body, and he's turned his back away from the sideline, which is where Higgins is going to end up cutting. So when Higgins does cut in that direction, he is able to get wide open. He's able to make the play. Again, that's route running. You can be 6'4", or you can be 5'10". If you can run routes, you'll get open regardless. And that's what Higgins can do. And obviously it helps when you have great route running and you are 6'4". That's sort of the best of both worlds. The last thing I want to touch on with Higgins is how good he can be in a red zone situation. I think he can be a great goal line receiver for Clemson, and this play is an example of that, where it's a cover 2 zone. He's running a route, going to try to get sort of into the corner of the end zone, but he, not too deep, sort of the shallow corner of the end zone. That's where he's going to be going. And what's going to happen is that first, watch how his first step, he's going to fake as though he's running basically just straight into the defender, almost as though he's going to be running a slant route or something towards the middle of the field to some degree. He might be running deep, but what this does is not only does it get the defender who's right in front of him to not move to the top half of the screen, but it's also getting the safety to not move higher up towards the sideline, which now means that he has a bit of that cleared up. Not a ton. It's still going to be a tough window because, it is a goal line situation, but he will get the window. And also you see how this is a good throw, but it's also easier because of Higgins' height. Because he's 6'4", that throw is a lot easier to make than if he was 5'10". If he was 5'10", I'm not sure if that's even possible, but with his height, not only is it possible, but there's actually a pretty big window. So again, his route running paired with his height, I think is just such an advantage. And then that works both ways. Like on this play where, he's going to be running towards the middle of the field. He's going up against that player right there, obviously. But, again, if he were running a fade route or running something towards the sideline, then as a defender, you're trying to prepare to defend that. So you don't really know what's happening. And because he is so good at those types of plays, you notice the defender, he has sort of turned that he's, almost facing the sideline right here, which is just, again, it's great for Higgins because Higgins is obviously not running in that direction. He instead cuts over in the middle, and he's able to get open. It was just a really good all-around play from Higgins, and that's kind of what he can do. I think that he's a very good player. I'm not sure he can run every route, in the route tree, but he can certainly run enough of them very well. And obviously, if you have one route you can do tremendously well, a lot of the rest follows. And I think that, again, is he a little bit skinny? Sure, but okay, so what? He's 6'4" and can run past you, and also is a great route runner. So he should be a tremendous talent for Cincinnati. And, hey, if A.J. Green is able to at least be there for another year or two, he can sort of, A.J. Green can be the number 1 guy. Higgins can kind of learn the ropes as a number 2 guy, and I think that really helps. You saw Julio Jones with Rodney White do that. You also saw Mike Evans. Vincent Jackson was the number 1 guy when he was there. So it happens sometimes. I think it can be an advantage to have an elite receiver next to you. Who knows if A.J. Green is still elite after the injury, but if he is, that could still help him for sure. So yeah, that's what I think of T. Higgins. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts of Higgins? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.